Hello, good evening, and welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. I am coming to you as usual from the great state of Texas, Houston, Texas, to be precise. Thank you for tuning in. I come to you with very exciting information about the reported return of Paul Biya back to La République du Cameroon. However, take note, that information has not been officially confirmed by sources in the Yaoundé, so it is the allegation. But then, the most important story I bring to you today has to do with a very special economic forum that the American government is having on Monday with the Cameroonian government, represented by Prime Minister Dion Ngah. Is this the time that America should be cutting the shots for Cameroon? We are going to discuss that, and that will be the main subject for today's discussion. I will also bring in Barrister Joseph Awa Fru, who is in the Yaoundé representing the Naira 10, who will be showing up tomorrow, Thursday the 20th, tomorrow, in the Yaoundé Appeals Court for a rehearing of their case. So that is what I bring to you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Please stay put, don't touch your remote. This is going to be exciting. I'll be right back.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me tonight. Again, I bring you updates on the return of Paul Biya back to Cameroon, reported for tomorrow. And then the Naira 10 head back to the court tomorrow, Thursday, August the 20th. And I guess I will be joined by Barrister Fru. Okay, he's actually calling right now. Hold on a second there. Hello, Barrister. Give me a few minutes to call you right back, please. I am live right now, so I'm calling you right back. So we will be discussing that. We will be getting some information about that court case for the Naira 10 that is coming up tomorrow shortly. But most importantly, Cameroon and the USA, after a long period of the absence of any collaboration between the two countries, America is having what they call an economic summit, sort of, in Yaoundé on Monday, I guess, the 27th. We're going to be discussing that with the panel tonight. I will be joined by Eric Chinje and Ben Aki. Atemkung Dennis was to join but couldn't make it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is what we're going to be discussing tonight. If you are joining by way of YouTube, do me the favor to hit that notification bell and the follow button so that every time that we come live, you are able to get notified to join the show. And if you are joining by way of Facebook, please do the same. And I will remind you of the appeal that I made yesterday. Very few people have supported, have called in to donate. Again, I just want to remind you before we start the show that you can do a one-time donation tonight to support this platform as we continue to bring you information, education, and updates on what is happening in Ambazonia and La République du Cameroon. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I will get Barrister Fru to join me directly. Again, he is joining from, he will be joining from Yaoundé. He is representing the Naira 10. He will be heading to court tomorrow with them, and we want to find out what this is looking like. We want to find out what this is looking like. So let's see if we can get him on the phone. All right, I think I do. Hello, Barrister.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. I hope you are having a good day over there.
Oh, there's never a good day in La République, but we try to.
In the lion's den.
Yes.
All right.
In the belly of the beast.
Right.
Yes.
So please, let's get into this. Sisiko and the Naira 10, they are heading to court tomorrow, we learn. Can you explain, I know we have touched this before, but can you explain to our listeners what this court case is all about? Because they were previously judged and sentenced to life imprisonments. What is this about the returning to court tomorrow?
Precisely, Mr. Anu, thank you for giving me the chance to be able to elucidate to your listeners and your viewers what this quagmire is. In a country of law, you will expect that when a case gets to the Supreme Court that's supposed to be the supreme arbiter of the land, the supreme interpreter of the law of the land, should be able to rule one way or the other, especially if it has to do with penal issues, it has to do with criminal issues. And so, following the checkered course of this trial, we left the military tribunal, went to the Court of Appeals. From the Court of Appeals, that took about 15 minutes to confirm the judgment of the military tribunal. We went to the Supreme Court with 10 solid grounds of appeal. And the court found that our grounds of appeal were founded. And instead of just outright dismissing the case, they used the word in English. In fact, their judgment was read in English, and they read quashed. You see, if you're a criminal lawyer and you are in the Supreme Court and you hear in a judgment quashed, if that's the only word that you take away, you would know that if after that word you become deaf and dumb, you would go to the next word saying that you won. But they quashed the judgment of the Court of Appeals, but let the judgment of the military court stand. All right. Yeah. So I can't understand. Okay, if the Court of Appeals confirmed the judgment of the military tribunal, then it means that they were reasoning just like the military tribunal, correct?
Correct.
And then if the Supreme Court quashes the judgment of the Court of Appeals, then by the extended logic, it should mean that the judgment of the military tribunal is quashed as well. But if you're living in my world, if you're living in the world of La République du Cameroun, that's not logic. The logic is that the judgment was quashed and we were sent back to the Court of Appeals. And we have had a checkered dance now for 3 hearings, and tomorrow we are supposed to be going in for a 3rd hearing to start the dance all over in the Court of Appeals. So I'm sorry that I was a little windy, but I had to explain this seeming paradox that is not explicable at all. But in the land of the inexplicable, you're bound to go with it.
So, going to the Court of Appeal tomorrow, are you going to escalate the case all over again?
Okay, escalate. I don't know if that's the word, but we are hoping that as a Court of Appeal, that they're going to rehear the case de novo, which means that as incomprehensible as it is to us, common lawyers from the common law tradition, we are going to, because we are condemned to it, Mr. Anu. We don't have a choice. You know, when you're a lawyer and you go to the Supreme Court, you can brag, you can say that I've taken this case, I've taken the travesty of justice, I've taken the injustices in this case to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to rule on it. But when the Supreme Court, you know, punts it and pushes the can down the road, not down the road to a superior authority, but down to an inferior authority, something is wrong. So we are dealing in the system where everything is wrong and trying to be sane, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
So we are going. It's not an installation. It's a retrial. We are going to rehash the case anew tomorrow.
Right.
But which in a very crooked way, Mr. Anu gives us some kind of pleasure, in the sense that we are ready, willing, and able to try this case. All right. Yeah. So we are calling on every legal scholar, on every analyst, on every diplomat, on the international community, on every student of the law to come to court and witness this trial, because it is a public trial, and that everybody should come in and watch what is going on. Number one, to see the travesties that we've been talking about. Because you see, when they used that 19 hours to try this overnight in the military court, most people could not be awake, right? Yeah. So now, tomorrow, people are going to be awake, and we ask people to come in tomorrow, sit in court, and see for themselves the kind of travesty
for those who are listening over there in Yaoundé and maybe Douala. Where precisely is this appeal court? What location is it in Yaoundé?
It is at the what they call the centre administratif. In that complex, you have the court of first instance, you have the High Court of Mfundi, you have the Supreme Court, and it is all in that, you know, where the old presidency used to be.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
It is from if you leave the Carrefour there where you have, or the junction there where you have the Ministry of Post and Telecommunications,
right, and
you're heading towards the Central Post Office, and you go by the old presidency, the next building to your right that's where it is. That's where the court is going to be, and it's going to be on the second floor of that building.
All right. So everybody, if you live in Yaoundé, Douala, Bafoussam, those are the immediate cities with proximity to Yaoundé. If you live in any of those places and you want to be and you want to answer present at the hearing tomorrow, please, you got the address right now. Barrister, let me ask you, by the appeal court taking this case, do you have any hopes at all that they may reverse the decision of the military tribunal?
Mr. Arno, you make me you make me chuckle and crackle. All right, let me explain why. As a lawyer, when you go to court, you are hoping for the best. Absolutely. Because the court is the court is an interpreter of the law, the arbiter, the authority that seeks the truth, the legal truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we were at military court and we were burnt. We came to this same court of appeals and we were burnt. We went up to the Supreme Court and we were burnt. And so we're coming back here. Do you want me to be hopeful? Of course I'm going to tell you that as a lawyer I'm hopeful. But how can I be hopeful when in 3 other instances I have been burnt? You know, I am an eternal optimist. Okay, I am a serial optimist, but that optimism can only go this far.
Right.
All right.
Right.
My only hope is that these leaders whom we are representing, who stand for a cause that they stand for, that they stand firm, that their psychologists do not crumble, that physically they do not crumble, because if it's the law that we are looking at, wow, we've been here 3 times, and that dance was not a good dance. That message was not a good message. And to every lover of the law, I'm not asking them to come there for a picnic. I'm asking them to come there as witnesses of history. Because if I'm speaking like this, somebody would say, of course you are their lawyers, you're going to say that. Come there so that you see what a travesty of justice looks like. Come there so that you see what the common law system is going through as a trial. Because what is on trial is the common law itself. What is on trial is the system itself. What is on trial is the constitution of Cameroon itself. Because Article 45 of that constitution says that every treaty that Cameroon has ratified, all right, every treaty that Cameroon has ratified takes precedence over their national laws. And you'll remember that United Nations Human Rights Council Working Group on Arbitrary Detention Opinion 059/2022 was very clear in August and in September of 2022, stating that these people were being arbitrarily detained under category 1, 3, and 5. Okay, which means that, or they asked the Cameroon to release these people immediately, return them to Nigeria, compensate them, and then come back to the United Nations after 6 months to give a report on why. No, I missed out on something. Investigate how this kind of travesty and this kind of injustice could have happened to these people. Come back to the United Nations after 6 months and report to the United Nations. None of those things have been done. Yet, Article 45 is still part of the Constitution of Cameroon. So, you want me to be hopeful? I am not hopeful, but I am a foot soldier, and I'll be there tomorrow in court. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. What is the spirit within the Naira 10 who are going to court tomorrow? I mean, as you talk to them.
I beg your pardon. Can you come again?
What is the spirit within the detainees? They are your clients, and you talk to them about this case. How are they feeling?
I am sure that every citizen of Southern Cameroon, every citizen of Ambazonia knows these people by name and know the kind of caliber of people that we are dealing with. They are solid like rock, like igneous rock. They have the psychologies of steel. Their convictions are stronger than a rock and steel, and so. Like they say, like Sisiku always says, they are firing on all 12 cylinders, ready to go, because of their convictions, because of what they know is standing there beyond this sufferance, beyond the persecution, beyond this illegal prosecution that they're going through. They are hopeful about their convictions, what they dream for and what they are looking for. That's what gives them hope. That's what gives them strength. That what gives them the impetus to push forward. Yes, sir.
Oh, all right. Now, does this, what are you arguing for? Are you arguing that they be freed and return to Nigeria, or you just want them to regain their freedoms?
Well, in that question, I see some cyclical reasoning in there. Number one, it is a travesty of justice, Mr. Anu. They were not supposed to be here in the first place. Okay? Yeah. Let me explain what I mean. Let me explain what I mean.
Sure.
Let's run to Article 45 of their constitution. They have ratified the Refugee Convention of 1951 as supported by its 1967 protocol. And it is clear in that law that anybody who is fleeing persecution and gets refugee or asylum status in another country cannot be sent back to that same country where they were fleeing persecution. So no matter what happens, they were not supposed to be in this courts in the first place. That's the starting point. And everybody who is a student of the law, whether it's national law or international law, should know that that's the starting point. They don't have a reason to be here. Their being here is void, is null and void ab initio. So they are not supposed to be here. So to ask me what we are fighting for is to ask me to deny my name or to say that I'm not breathing. It is a nullity. They should not be here. And you know that. You are a very erudite journalist who knows these things. You know that by international law and by their own law itself, they are not supposed to be here. So what are we asking? We are asking that tomorrow they be free immediately and that they follow and implement United Nations Human Rights Council Working Group on Arbitrary Detention Opinion 059/2022.
By any means, does the Supreme Court decision affect other detainees like Abdul Karim?
Well, I have to let me explain this a little bit for your listeners. Okay. You see, the working group on arbitrary detentions is like a specialized court. All right, they don't do general cases. They do case-by-case adjudication. These are erudite judges and jurists who have come from 5 different continents of the world. And they are based in Geneva, and they look at these cases on a case-by-case basis. You have to file a petition. That petition is investigated. They ask for information from both of the countries. In this case, they ask for information from Nigeria and from Cameroon. They didn't provide any information because they didn't have any information. And in law, when you are asked to present information and you do not present information, that is considered as a concession. Okay, it is not that you did not provide information. You did not provide that information because either one, the information was not there, or that information is so damaging to you that you don't dare to put it out there, which is the case here. Okay, so it is not a general court, but I can say this: there are many other Amazonian prisoners of conscience who have taken advantage of this and who have their own decisions. For instance, C. Conrad has a decision that has also ruled that he is being arbitrarily detained and that he should be released immediately. People like Abdul Karim, I cannot speak intelligently about that because I don't know if his case has been presented to the working group on arbitrary detentions. But you have about 4 other decisions that go to that, which means that you can already begin to form a pattern that these people, of course, Mr. Anu, you know that all the Amazonian prisoners of conscience are being persecuted because of their political opinions and their membership in particular social groups, and to their claim of nationality, to Amazonian nationality. That's their problem. That's why they're here. And that's persecution par excellence. You don't have to hear from me. You just have to read the Refugee Convention of 1951 and its 1967 protocols.
Well, Barrister, before I let you go, I just want to appreciate the work you've been doing over the years to retain the freedom of these detainees. I wish you all the best as you get to court tomorrow, sir.
I take the spirits of our ancestors, and I believe that the truth is on the side of those people. The facts are on the side of those people. The law is on their side. And Mr. Anu, it is an ocular opportunity. It is the chance of my life to be able to be a lawyer standing for them, knowing that the facts, the law, the history, and the law are behind them. So it is a good day for me. Thank you, sir. And I say that on behalf of the erudites, the giant, the legal giants on whose shoulders I stand. For instance, Bâtonnier Etabisson, Bâtonnier Emeritus Akeremuna, our lead counsel, Barrister Paddy Young, senior counsels like Barrister Joseph Akuyaze, and all the other ones, all the other more than 200 members of the defense team. This is a team effort because we know that the truth is on our side. We know that the facts are on our side. We know that the law is on our side and that history is going to be on our side. And I thank you, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. I am hoping that after the appearance tomorrow, if it is possible, we can get the lead attorneys that you have mentioned. If we can have a conversation with all of them on one of the shows here, I think that would be so good. What do you think about that?
That would be wonderful. There's nothing better than having these legal luminaries be on the same platform, telling you in a better way and in a much more eloquent and succinct way what I have been struggling to tell you this evening. Thank you, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. You remain safe out there, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Barrister Joseph Fru Awa, one of the lead attorneys for the Naira 10. They are showing up in court tomorrow, Yaounde's appeal court, for a hearing once more on the Naira 10 case. Remember, it was sent back to the appeals court by the Supreme Court in Yaoundé, and that's what they are doing. Let's hope. Let's just hope against hope that the appeals court, who had handled this case previously, does a different thing now. That means freeing them, letting them go, because they should not be in chains and in prisons in the first place. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm coming back to when I come back. Paul Biya, we are told, is returning home. Paul Biya returning home tomorrow, Thursday. Again, that news has not been confirmed yet, but those are the reports that we are hearing. When I come back, I will bring you the details of what I know about this. And then before we get to the main subject of the day. So please stay tuned. I will be right back. Again, Eric Chinje and Professor Ben Aiki will be here to do justice on the subject of this American Cameroon Economic Summit coming up. Stay put.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com.
All right, thanks for staying put out there, ladies and gentlemen. At this moment, I take you to this story, the story of the return. The alleged return of Paul Biya tomorrow, August the 20th, that is Thursday, August the 20th, to Yaoundé from Geneva. At least that is what we are learning. And so let me bring you that report, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a minute to get the script here, if the script exists. Where is that? All right. So again, Paul Biya, we are told, is returning to Cameroon tomorrow. Again, we cannot confirm it, but that is what some news sources have reported, and that is precisely what I want to bring to you now. After 73 days of an absence that has gripped Cameroon, rattled its institutions, and kept the world guessing, President Paul Biya is reportedly preparing to return to Yaoundé, possibly as early as Thursday, August 20, that is tomorrow. The report adds a dramatic new dimension to an already extraordinary week in Cameroon, one in which the country's women footballers brought home the nation's greatest football prize. Why the man who calls himself the Lion of Cameroon remained invisible in a Switzerland hospital? The return trip comes from Panorama Papers, a US-registered, internationally focused Cameroonian digital news outlet founded on June 29, 2017, and operating with offices in Atlanta and Washington, D.C., as well as a bureau in Yaoundé. The outlet, which operates under Panorama Group LLC, and describes itself as working without sponsors or financial backers to provide credible, quality information, cited an internal source indicating that Biya's return is in preparation, with Thursday, August 20, again that is tomorrow, as a targeted date, though the report added a cautious caveat: unless something changes. No official confirmation has been issued by the Cameroonian presidency as of now. That means not the Minister of Communication or the presidency. The timing could not be more politically charged, though. On Sunday, August 16, Cameroon's Indomitable Lionesses defeated Malawi 3-0 in the final of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Rabat, Morocco, winning the country's first ever WAFCON title. Cameroon's triumph was all the more remarkable, given that the team had not even originally qualified for the tournament. They were only admitted after CAF, the Confederation of African Football, expanded the competition from 12 to 16 teams. Thousands of jubilant Cameroonians flooded the streets of Yaoundé on Monday to welcome the champions home, with hundreds of supporters gathering on the tarmac at Insimalen Airport, waving flags, wearing jerseys, and cheering in scenes of euphoria unseen in the capital in years. The man, ladies and gentlemen, who should have been there to receive them was not. Biya, 93 years, currently in Switzerland, congratulated the valiant, talented, and intrepid Indomitable Lionesses through a Facebook post, hailing what he called a well-executed performance. A Facebook post for a historic first-ever continental title from a president who in 2017 personally received the Indomitable Lions at Unity Palace after their WAFCON triumph, awarding them medals and declaring their victory should be celebrated by Cameroonians as one and indivisible nation. That was in person. That was when the lion was still visible. Now, reports indicate the Lionesses are expected to be officially received at the presidency this weekend. A ceremony that, if Biya's Thursday or tomorrow return is confirmed, would place him squarely at the center of a moment of national triumph he had nothing to do with creating, and which unfolded entirely in his absence. The symbolism is not lost on Cameroonians. For 78 days, Biya has been absent from the country he has governed since 1982, his longest uninterrupted absence in 4 decades of rule. His government has repeatedly insisted he is alive and working from Geneva, signing decrees including a sweeping military reshuffle in early August, but has refused to provide a specific return date, with Communications Minister René Emmanuel Sadi telling Radio France Internationale only that Biya would return very soon. The contrast between the Lionesses and their absent president could not be sharper. A team that did not even qualify through normal channels, admitted only after the competition expanded, went on to defeat defending champions, the Eagles of Nigeria, urge hosts Morocco on penalties, and demolish Malawi in the final. They did it without the lion. Monique Ngah was named Woman of the Competition. Michele Bihina took the Best Goalkeeper award, and Cameroon walked away with a $2 million prize, a figure representing a 900% increase from WAFCON prize money in 2018. The Lionesses brought home a cup. The lion reportedly is finally coming home too. Whether Cameroonians will welcome both with equal enthusiasm is another matter entirely. All right. That is that, ladies and gentlemen. I will take a brief break out and I will come back and shoot straight to the main subject of the day. The summit that is coming up on Monday between America and La République du Cameroon, represented by the American temporary ambassador in Yaoundé, and John Ngute, the Prime Minister of La République du Cameroon. So please stay tuned. I will be right back. And after that, I will be joined by Eric Chinje and Professor Ben Aki. Stay tuned, please.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com. ABS can help.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to take you to this story of the day, an event that is taking place in Yaoundé on Monday, August the 27th. It is tagged Cameroon or America-Cameroon Economic Forum. America-Cameroon Economic Forum. Let's get to that script, please. Let's get the right graphics out there. Get the right graphics out there, please. All right. Where is that? Okay. Okay, let me bring you the script for that story right now. Again, after that, I will be joined by Eric Chinje and Professor Ben Ike. And so, here we go. Let us be honest about what is happening here. On August 27, the United States and Cameroon are scheduled to hold a strategic bilateral economic dialogue in Yaoundé, focused on improving what they call the business climate, identifying trade opportunities, and promoting investment partnerships. The announcement was made following a series of preparatory meetings between U.S. Chargé d'Affaires John G. Robinson in Yaoundé and senior Cameroonian government officials, including Prime Minister Joseph Dion Ngute. Washington is framing this as a positive step, a gesture of partnership, of opportunity, and of shared progress. I call it what it is, a handshake with a regime whose hands are soaked in the blood of its own people. The timing alone is an indictment. Paul Biya, 93 years old, hospitalized in Geneva for over 2 months, is a man on the edge of history's exit. The country he has strangled for 43 years sits at its most precarious political crossroads since independence. The question of succession hangs over every corridor of power in Yaoundé. The Ambazonian war grinds on, claiming lives weekly. Political prisoners, thousands of them, rot in jails without trial, without justice, and without hope. Opposition leader Issa Chiroma is still in exile, afraid to set foot in his own country. The streets of Cameroon are waiting for trade deals. They are waiting for liberation. They are not waiting for trade deals, but liberation. And America's response to this moment is, let us talk business? Why? Why now? Why can you not simply wait for the political transition to run its course? Wait for Cameroon to find its footing. Wait for a government that actually represents its people before you go rushing to lock in economic arrangements with a dying regime's caretakers. Is a few months of patience too much to ask when Cameroonians have endured 43 years? And if this dialogue is, as we strongly suspect, substantially about AGOA, about lifting the trade sanctions that America itself imposed, then Washington owes the world a very serious explanation. In 2019, President Trump removed Cameroon from the African Growth and Opportunity Act, citing the Cameroonian military's persistent human rights violations, including extrajudicial killings, arbitrary and unlawful detention, and torture. Human Rights Watch documented the systemic, killing of civilians, burning of hundreds of homes, and the widespread use of torture and incommunicado detention. Those were the grounds for the sanctions. Those were America's own words. Now we ask, what has changed? Which of those documented atrocities has been remedied? Which political prisoner has been freed? Which village has been rebuilt? Which general has been prosecuted? The Amazonian war is not over. The jails are not empty. The torture has not stopped. So, on what moral basis does Washington even begin to consider rewarding Yaoundé with restored trade privileges? The answer, unfortunately, is not moral at all. It is transactional. And the pattern is now clear enough to trace. On January 12, 2026, 2 days before the first U.S. deportation flight landed in Yaoundé, the State Department announced a $30 million payment to UNHCR's Cameroon program, a payment described by a U.S. official as part of the Trump administration's emerging pattern of withholding country-specific UN funds as leverage in deportation deals. In plain language, America paid Paul Biya's government to take people it didn't want. The Trump administration tellingly chose not to criticize Biya's disputed October 2025 re-election and said nothing when security forces waged a deadly crackdown on post-election protesters. A silence diplomats openly acknowledge they believe would give them an advantage in deportation negotiations. Silence on atrocities in exchange for cooperation on deportation. That is a deal America struck. Then came renewed military cooperation, framed as counter-terrorism support. And now this, economic dialogue. Step by step, piece by piece, Washington is quietly dismantling every ounce of leverage it once held over a regime it previously condemned in its own congressional resolutions. Both chambers of the U.S. Congress passed resolutions calling for an end to the violence in Cameroon and for the government to, in quote, pursue broad-based dialogue without preconditions to resolve the Amazonian conflict. Where are those resolutions now, sirs? Archived and forgotten, it seems. Not that business interests have entered the room. Now that business interests have entered the room, they are archived. Bilateral goods trade between Cameroon and the United States reached $457.1 million in 2025. And American companies are already eyeing Cameroon's energy sector, its minerals, its infrastructure gaps. The U.S. Department of Commerce has noted that Cameroon plans to add at least 3,500 megawatts of generation capacity over the next decade, creating what it calls opportunities for U.S. companies. Those are their words, not mine. There it is. There the real agenda, naked and unshamed. American corporations want a piece of Cameroon's resources, and diplomatic niceties about human rights will not be allowed to stand in the way of a profitable contract. That's how to interpret it. This is not partnership. This is predation with a flag on it. At this critical, irreplaceable moment in La République du Cameroon, when Cameroon's future genuinely hangs in the balance, when the opportunity to real political change is closer than it has been in 4 decades. The United States is not asking, how do we help Cameroonians reclaim their country? The United States is asking, how do we get our companies into Cameroon's market? Those are not the same question. They are, in fact, opposite questions. The International Crisis Group said it plainly years ago, and I quote, "The regime in Yaoundé seems more sensitive to international than to national pressure. Without firm, persistent, and coordinated pressure from the international partners," it said, "it is unlikely that the government in Yaoundé will seek lasting solutions." End of quote. America had that leverage. It is choosing to give it away for mining deals, energy contracts, and the convenience of a deportation backyard, a human dumping ground. We say this clearly. Washington should not proceed with deeper economic cooperation without corresponding verifiable progress on governance in Yaoundé, political accountability, human rights, and meaningful reform. Economic and diplomatic leverage should be used to press that regime towards change, not to reward it for survival. If Washington genuinely believes in the values it preaches, that is democracy, human rights, the rule of law, then this is the moment to prove it. Not with a trade dialogue, with pressure, with accountability, with a kind of moral clarity that says to a regime built on oppression, not $1 more, not one contract more, until your people are free. Cameroon does not need America's business right now. It needs America's conscience. And that is my talking point, ladies and gentlemen. Now, again, I'm being joined by Eric Chinje and Professor Ben Aki. I see Eric is frozen. Eric, if you are hearing me, please go ahead and reconnect so that I can hear you. Please go ahead and reconnect. Let me bring in Professor Ben Aki while Eric is reconnecting. Prof. Ben, I hope you can hear me, sir.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me
Oh,
too?
right. You listen to my commentary there on this subject of Yaoundé holding an economic dialogue with the U.S. representative in Yaoundé. I'd like to get your take on that. I don't know whether you are aware of it, but I'd like your take on that.
Well, you ended with the expression that Cameroon needs America's conscience, not its business. Unfortunately, that's not the way the international order runs today. What we can say is that Cameroon needs America's business backed by its conscience. So the two have to go together, but it seems that America has made the calculation that the people of Cameroon are so lazy, are so incompetent, are so capable of suffering for a long time without putting up sufficient coordinated resistance to end their suffering. So based on that calculation, they have decided that they will do business with the government of Mr. Biya and the successor he's going to put in place. And one element that I was looking maybe to hear in your introductory analysis was at least a connection between the United States and the State of Israel, which has a very very significant vested interest in Cameroon. Because of the alignment of the foreign policy of Israel and the United States, it is not surprising at all to me that today we have the United States taking the series of actions that we are seeing them take. So the question is only going to be, will the people of Cameroon create the conditions that will bring into question the business that America wants to do with Cameroon, that will bring into question the kind of benefits that Israel wants to obtain from Cameroon. If those conditions are created, I will tell you tomorrow the United States will be ready and willing to send their congratulations to the legitimately elected president of Cameroon if they realize that the people of Cameroon have awoken to the challenges facing their country and they have imposed the sovereign will of the people as expressed in the last election. That is, if they have created the condition for Mr. Issa Chiroma Bakari to seat the presidency, all of this will change because all is business. To the Americans, all is business. But if we can make their business be connected with the justice that is determined by the people, the sovereign people of Cameroon, then we have a kind of a win-win situation between the people of Cameroon and the people of the United States with whom we seek to have friendship.
Oh, I don't understand why every time we are invoking the people of Cameroon, there are certain things the people of Cameroon cannot do. And there are certain things that require just moral conscience. I'm talking here in the case of the USA. I guess you should be saying, well, the USA can help the people of Cameroon by saying we are no longer going to work with this regime until we see change. But you keep referring to the people of Cameroon. The people have been crushed.
Thank you very much. I'm laughing because I have never factored into the well-being of the people of Cameroon, the benevolence of the United States. Of course, the United States helps in medical assistance, in food assistance, and things, and the Peace Corps, which people we love. My first chemistry teacher was an American. I love the American people in that context. But the war in Cameroon that the people of Cameroon have been fighting to be the masters of their own destiny, no foreign country can help you in that. Their calculation is that since the 1950s, the people of Cameroon have not been in a position to impose to have a president come to the presidency by the will of the people. Therefore, the easiest way to do business in that country is to align with a dictatorship. That's the calculation. I don't waste my time asking the Americans to help us because they are not going to help us until we help ourselves. And that's why, of course, you're right to call out. Each time I am here, I am talking about the sovereign people of Cameroon. I'm talking about how they can rise up and create the conditions for our country to stay together and for people not to break away as we are fighting in former Southern Cameroon, to create the conditions to govern our country. That's when we will get respect from the United States. That's when we will get good business from the United States. Until then, this regime is willing to sell our resources to the United States very cheap in order to create the conditions for their preservation of power. And that's the game we are seeing. Mr. Anu, I'm sorry that the authorities out there, the other time I was here, you were talking about the Bishop of Rome, of course, the Catholic, whom they call the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. He came to Cameroon. It was the same moral suasion. That it was the same argument that the Bishop of Rome, being a moral authority, the spiritual authority, the pastor of Mr. Paul Biya is a former Catholic seminarian. We were expecting, or your expectation was that he will come and talk to Biya, and Biya would recognize that he needs to set prisoners free. I listened to the first part of your program, still talking about the prisoners from former Southern Cameroon. Many people at that time told us, stop talking about Chioma and the rest of the stuff, because the Bishop of Rome is going to come. The Bishop of Rome is going to create the conditions for these prisoners to be set free. And that did not happen. The government in Yaoundé, the illegal and illegitimate government of election thieves, incurable election thieves, they had calculated that by the visit of the Pope, the people would be pacified. And after the Pope had come, they also went ahead and invited the Archbishop of Canterbury. Now, The Church of England or the Anglican Church is not very present in Cameroon. The history of Cameroon is such that the Protestants in Cameroon really came from the dissenters in the United Kingdom. So the Anglican Church is not strong in Cameroon. There was really no reason for the visit of the Archbishop of Canterbury to Cameroon last couple of weeks, unless that it was calculated to bring about the international recognition of the illegal and illegitimate regime of Paul Biya. And of course, now they have proceeded with this economic forum with the United States to show we are in control. We have carried out an electoral theft. We've carried out a constitutional coup, and we are ready to perpetuate ourselves, even after many days we are being outside the country.
All
So
right.
I return to the point. I return to the point that the people of Cameroon can free themselves from this bondage by organizing and taking actions. And I am very optimistic, Mr. Anu. I'm very optimistic that we will succeed. And when we succeed, of course, the United States is going to come back to the table with business, but this time this business will be aligned with the conditions of justice in Cameroon.
Well, well, that is what I have called the hypocrisy of the West, because the West tell us, you go and free yourself, change your government, change your system, get accountable leadership. And then they go about to do business instead of saying, we're not doing business with you until you free your people. They're not doing so. So it seems that we're all prescribing the same solutions like the imperialists do. Let me turn to Eric here. I think, if anything, Eric, the American government, as Professor Aki said, keep quoting Cameroonians fighting for themselves. Cameroonians, they are miserable. They have been miserable under this guy for 4 decades. They have been crushed so many times. They have no longer faith in going out to protest anything. You saw it in the elections of Issa Chiroma. People are saying, why can't America, why can't the British, why can't the French, why can't the Germans do something? Why the people are saying so? America is busy organizing economic summits with Yaoundé. Isn't this shameful?
I don't know if you can hear me, Chris.
I can hear you 5 on 5.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. My take on this is we cannot outsource the liberation of a nation. We cannot depend on others to liberate us based on arguments that do not reflect their own aspirations and expectations, which is where we are with the Americans. The Americans, especially the America that the world has to deal with since 2024, has been very clear about its own, what drives its foreign policy. And it is about America's very specific interests. It's not about, what addresses the concerns of Cameroonians. No, it's about America. And until we can understand that and incorporate that into our own approach to policy, I think we're just going to get it wrong and consistently wrong. America is not in Cameroon to help, address the problems of poverty or the absence of, growth and development in Cameroon. That's not why they're there. They're not, they're there to see what America can get out of Cameroon for the interest of the American people. And until we can understand that, I don't think, we're going to continue to have a problem with who we are, what we need to be doing for ourselves, and what should drive diplomatic relations between that country and the rest of the world. We're not there yet. So, I don't know, Chris. That's my take on this.
Ben, you want to say something there, it seems.
You mean?
I thought you wanted to add something there.
Well, I think we're in agreement here with Eric that we have to understand the interests that drive these countries, and basically it has been clearer now with the Trump administration that they have specific interests that they are pursuing, and unless we understand that, we cannot really act. And I would say tomorrow, if the people of Cameroon free themselves after this economic forum between the United States and Cameroon, we will still need partnership with the United States. And they have no problem switching from one person to the next. And maybe in the future, they will be more reserved in jumping to do business with a person who has lost an election if they know that the people, even after 9 months, after 10 months, after 11 months, or even after a year of the electoral theft, if they know that those people are capable to understand themselves, to bring to the point where the usurper regime is forced to leave power. Once they experience that, their analysts will incorporate that in their model for thinking about how to do business in the future. Then they will pay close attention. They will say, be careful with the Cameroonian people. They are tough, right? They want us to do business with them. I want us, there is one thing now, this may be a controversial point, but I want to make it in honesty and in clarity. I don't like anything that Mr. Biya has done to our country, but I appreciate the fact that he has created conditions for us to be in good terms with all 5 members of the Security Council. I say that I was a scholarship student to Russia. I lived in Russia. I think we have to keep good relations with the Russians, good relations with the Chinese, good relations with the French.
Well, I don't understand about we keeping good relations with the Russians, with the Chinese. They are all in bed with Cameroon, isn't it?
Exactly.
I mean,
but
Russians,
this is where I want to land. This is
okay.
why I want to land. I want to say that we need to maintain friendship with all these countries based on the idea that the ultimate decision makers in Cameroon are the men and women who go to the ballot and cast their vote. If the elections are competitive, then we can have our president come and talk to these people and say, my hands are tied. I cannot do X and Y because my people will rebel against my party, and I will lose the next election, I will lose the next parliamentary majority, and therefore I have to act in a certain way. That is what, in game theory, you will come to a kind of equilibrium which will be beneficial to the people of Cameroon and beneficial to the people over there, whether they have good moral intentions or not. At least they have to have the intention of making sure that they continue to make money next year and the only way to do so, let us write rules that the only way to do business in Cameroon and guarantee long-term benefit is going to be to listen to the people of Cameroon, right? Is to listen to the people of Cameroon, because you have to make the choice. Either you make a billion francs this year and then you lose it all next year.
Well, there are no guarantees for that. You know that. There are no guarantees for that because there is nobody to stand on their way.
I think the point is to make sure we tell all our friends, don't bet against the people of Cameroon. Always bet in favor of the people of Cameroon because they are the ultimate masters of their destiny.
Let me get back to Eric there. Eric, 2019-2020, the U.S. cut off counter-terrorism collaboration with Cameroon and actually took off their equipment. The sanctioned Cameroon cut it off from AGOA. Congress passed 2 resolutions demanding that Cameroon engage Ambazonia in broad and unconditional dialogue. Nothing has changed. You know that. Nothing, absolutely nothing has changed. But America is slowly but surely going back. We saw the visit in Yaoundé, I think twice, of military, counter-terrorism military experts, I think welcomed by the Prime Minister. And then you have this economic dialogue. The question becomes, what is happening to the morality of America? If nothing has changed, if nothing has changed? How can they be doing this as if the people who are crushed under that regime do not matter?
It seems to me, well, first of all, I fully understand and appreciate, the depth of your frustrations with international diplomacy where it currently is. But there are a number of very important factors we must always take into account when we deal in the element, when we take a hard look at international diplomacy, the way it plays out. You and I we understand, Chris, that again, I guess we're just repeating what Ben has said and what I've been saying. We cannot rely on. We cannot read into the actions of the United States a well thought out policy that seeks to not only advance the international order, but would seek to protect the interests and the aspirations of Cameroonians. We cannot, we have to be very cool-headed about that. And transmit as best we can the message.
What is the message?
Well, that only the citizens of any country, in this case Cameroon or Amazonia or any, only they can save themselves. And that takes a clear-headed, non-emotional appreciation of how the world works. I honestly think that engaging with Cameroon today by anybody, any foreign entity, private sector, the power, any engagement with Cameroon today is based on a very flawed assessment of what that country is capable of delivering to anybody. So I wouldn't do it. And I think America is smart enough, and I'm in fairly regular contact with folks at an appreciable level in government in this country. I am in the United States at this time, and I tell the folks I'm in contact with, you cannot engage with this country at this time. The instability of its systems of governance, the corruption, the political theft, the illegitimacy of the actions they take and the decisions they make. America should be the last country in the world to engage with Cameroon at this time. I try to get that message across as best I can. It's a flawed assessment of America's interests in Cameroon, because they're certainly not long-term interests. Yeah. But what do we do? What should we be doing? Our focus should be on getting the message across to Cameroonians, because they ultimately have the sovereign power to say no to the actions of their government, but also of foreign governments. That should be our focus, Chris. It's nobody else. And it is they we should be talking to. And we figure out how best to do that.
Rebecca Inonchong was out there when her business premises were shut down, and she was asking the question, putting it out there, who is coming to invest in Cameroon when you have this kind of business atmosphere? going on in the country. Now, these are things that you will expect the Americans to be saying, these are not the people to do business with. This is not the place to do business with. When you have business people like Rebecca Inonchong saying this out there, how then, Ben, when you say it is Cameroonians who should fight, how then can they fight?
Well, I agree with Rebecca on that question. There are certain investment. There are certain. The private sector is very different. It's varied. There are different areas of investment. People who come together as ordinary individuals, they calculate the risk, and then they go and invest their money somewhere. They definitely will not be coming to Cameroon because there is no rule of law and there is no predictable, stable government. Because if the transition from Paul Biya to the next president is not based on the principles of constitutional democracy, the will of the people as reflected in the last election, there will be no political stability. Therefore, you and I, coming together, making a small business, and trying to find an African country to invest, we will likely not go to Cameroon. But there are certain kinds of businesses, for example, selling weapons, buying weapons, getting the right to mine certain minerals. Those are always going to be available to those big powers because to them, they feel like you can secure enough right and enough power to do whatever you want. And China feels that way, the United States feels that way. They are at a location where some of the things they are mining, the Cameroon government cannot just take away from them. So there is that divergence that if you want to invigorate the economy of Cameroon, to increase the GDP, to increase employment, to have many more young people employed, then yes, she's perfectly right. Those kinds of investors will not come to Cameroon. But if you're looking the kind of predatory investment that is state to state, that is state power to state enabled in very critical areas such as critical minerals, right? Those people will always prefer, even they will actually prefer an illegal and illegitimate government that is insecure against its people. They will come and say, we're going to give you international recognition. In exchange for that, please sign off this mining right here at a much, much, much cheaper price than a legal and legitimate president would have done with the backing of the people of the country. So it is a question of high risk, high payoff that plays in that particular situation. And when the new government comes, because that kind of business, the mining companies, I remember many years ago when the fight in former Southern Cameroon for independence was very intense. So the government wanted to bring down the temperatures, and one of the things was to the ambassador, I think was Valerino, what was his name at that time. He brought American business people to sign diamond and gold mining in the eastern region. So they got a very cheap deal out of that. So their calculation is that the kind of investment that are government backed investment, they know in the worst case scenario, if the new government comes in, that new government cannot be so suicidal to say that I am going to cut off links between Cameroon and the United States. The worst that will happen is that the new president will say, let us renegotiate, and then they will move from a condition of extreme advantage to the United States in exchange for kind of propping up the illegal and illegitimate regime. They will go towards something that is fairer. So they would still have made more money. So that's the kind of business. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. There are very few countries that can do that. It can sell you weapons, can guarantee training your military, can guarantee giving you equipment to do surveillance on your citizens and all sorts of things. These are the high-tech level that will require that kind of permanent presence. So it's a paradox. Yes, the vast population of young people who lack jobs, they will not get investors, young people coming in and say, oh, There's a good business here I can do with internet provision. I can do here with telemarketing. I can do here with you doing work for somebody in the United States, or tutoring, or doing this thing, which requires stable internet connection, which requires stable electricity, which requires a stable system of adjudicating differences between business partners. In many developed countries, civil law is it's a rich field. You settle, you do business, the high volume you do business will translate into lawsuits, and these lawsuits are regulated in a very standard way. That doesn't work in Cameroon. Everybody's going to ask you extra money that is not related to the process. So those kind of investors will not come. But the kind of investors that the country of Cameroon needs, whether it's Biya or whether it's the new president, they will always come in to buy things very cheap from the person who
No, we
doesn't
know
have
that, but the timing is, in this case, is the issue. When you see a country that is struggling to change, and then you are rushing ahead to go and make economic deals, you are essentially building some level of confidence within that regime to say, hey, we trust you, we can do business with you, you can stay, you can do what you want, you can put Frank Biya there, you can appoint anybody you want there. But if you had the West, the US, the British, the French, the Germans, and the Chinese and stuff, of course, they are in the East. But if you had them saying to the regime that is there, we're not going to do business with you until we see that you care about your people, until there is a smooth transition, until there is a democratic election, then we will reconsider. I think it makes sense to everybody. This regime is dying. They say Biya is coming home tomorrow. Nobody is sure about that. Yet on Monday, America will be sitting there for an economic conference, economic summit, to plan investment in world transportation and other sectors. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. The people of Cameroon are handicapped. They have nowhere to fight. I mean, fight the regime. So, Eric, again, the question becomes, what can Cameroonians do?
Chris, I think the very first thing I'd urge every Cameroonian on the planet to do is to recognize the fundamental transformation of the world order. We are not in a planet driven by moral persuasion. The America of Jimmy Carter, for example, and I'm just using him as an example, its foreign policy and therefore the rest of it, economic policy and so on, they're driven by moral arguments, human rights, the respect for human rights. And countries were judged based on what they did within that framework. You know, citizens' rights, basic human, respect for basic human rights, and so on. It's no longer. The world has changed fundamentally, and even also under the current president. And it's very unlikely to return to the old order or to systems that we built yesteryear. So it is time we wake up and smell the coffee. Absolutely. The emotionalisms of the moment will not change anything. The system in Cameroon now has collapsed. Governance systems in Cameroon, totally. There's no coming out of it. We've got to, as a people, all those young men and women who come out of universities with degrees, do not sit back and accept to go for a decade, many of them, 2 decades, some of them, without a job and have to depend on the parents who struggle to send them to school. It's time somebody It's time they rise up, and we've got to help get that message across to them. Every day I'm reading messages out of Cameroon of rank corruption, not only financial and business, but in every aspect of life. I was just reading today a report about the Minister of Finance on what he's being. I'm not here to accuse anyone. Cameroonians should be listening to that. Over 100 Cameroonians died yesterday or a few days ago in the eastern south, trying to eke a living out of the wealth of their own soil in the eastern province around Garowe. Over 100 of them, when the earth collapsed on them and buried many of them alive.
Oh, those images I saw, did that happen in Cameroon?
Absolutely. And if that does not
somebody
wake up
sent them to
people,
me, I saw it. Yeah. There was they were all speaking in their dialect. No message that followed. Just the videos. I was thinking that did not happen in Cameroon. I think we're gonna get those images. But go on, please.
Yes, it happened in the eastern province in Cameroon. If that does not wake up people, then I don't know what else will. It's time we tell Cameroonians the truth about the world in which they are evolving, and only they can save that country. We cannot have, the country is broke. The country cannot afford, I'm sure we're getting to a point where they might not even be able to afford salaries for civil servants, and maybe that's when the whole thing would be exposed to every one of us. Can you hear me still? I don't know my system.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you. I hear you. Go on. I know you are frozen, but
okay.
we can hear you.
Okay. My hope, again, is that we have to work for fundamental change in that country. Fundamental. I'm not here to argue for Mr. Chiroma for having won the elections. We all know that. But he represents our best hope of change agreed to by Cameroonians. We've talked about the need for national reconciliation. It's not going to happen with Mutazi and Ngah and the rest of them. It's not going to happen. But that's what the nation needs. We've talked about the need for a rethinking of the systems that govern us, that country. A revision of the Constitution is one of them. We need to talk about that. There are some fundamental things that need to be done, but that cannot be done by the current group. There's no leader. Mr. Biya is out of the picture. It's no longer relevant to where we go. As my former boss, Mo Ibrahim, said, maybe the only thing he can do is take us to the grave. And that's not going to happen. Can't take a country to the grave. So it's time for us to be more forthright in what we say. I really appreciate what Professor Aki is doing. Ben, I have to tell you this. I have a lot of admiration for the work you're doing. And I hope people like you will multiply and take it forthrightly to Cameroonians. Because that's what we need. And there's no, we're not engaging in some emotional exercise here. We're just saying things as they are. And every Cameroonian can relate to that. The people who died yesterday or a couple of days ago, that's for real. And they died because they were trying to get gold out of dirt to be able to feed their children and their families. That's what happened. There are thousands of Cameroonian young men qualified and would earn a good living anywhere else in the world, but they cannot in Cameroon. They are on the streets. Something has to give in that country, and we have to help it get.
So, talking about Issa Chiroma, both of you as supporters and followers of Issa Chiroma, You will recall that at the beginning, or I mean, at the end of July, he made inference to the fact that he wanted the army to get him home, and then he talked about celebrating the Army National Day, August 14. And there was a lot of anticipation that he was finally heading back home. What happened? What happened? Let me start with Prof. Aki. What happened? Issa Chiroma did not return.
Well, he made a speech and he referred to the army, the Council for the Sovereignty of Cameroon, where I belong. We put out a statement to say that any segment of the society of Cameroon can enforce the results of the election, and the military, they constitute part of that. But our opinion as the Council of the Sovereignty of Cameroon is that the easiest way and the surest way to get Mr. Chiroma back home is to mobilize the people of Cameroon. And we have this picture of 1 to 3% of the population being engaged in protests and other activities. I just read now, I don't know to what extent that is true, that truck drivers are going to strike on Monday, right? So all of these things are going to combine and create conditions for the people to act. Now, he said he had wished to be in Cameroon on August 14. Some activists said, oh, he was coming on August. We of the Council for the Sovereignty of Cameroon, we are proceeding with the understanding that we are a collection of all the people of Cameroon who voted for Chiroma. We do not believe in messianism. We do not believe in populism, but we believe absolutely in the power of the Cameroonian people to coordinate themselves and enforce the will of the people as expressed in that election. So that is to say, we continued our work, and we have continued our work with that perspective in mind. There are things planned for this weekend. Last weekend was busy, and this coming weekend, you will see across the national territory, you will find political tracts being distributed. You will find lamentation meetings in church, people praying. You will find some places people protesting. Last week in Logon and Shari, the people came out. The people came out protesting, asking for the truth of the ballot box to be respected. That was the ignition. That is the beginning. It's going to continue. And so right now we are saying we will do protest on Friday and Sunday. On Saturday, we'll continue with our casserole concert and continue the mobilization until the level is reached when we will ignite these processes to go throughout the week. And they will intensify to the stage where, whether it is truck drivers or other people adding their contribution to that, the conditions will be created. Because we have two options before us. Mr. Chiroma, we need Chiroma. Now, we have to put that in our mind. We need Chiroma because we voted for him. But he is not a messiah who will do everything for us. The people of Cameroon need him. Because if we don't enforce that truth of the ballot box, the government, very technically, even in this amended constitution, they say whether you have a vice president who will continue the work of the president, or you will revert to the old constitution, put an interim president, and organize an election and get the new president. So what the regime has come to realize is that there is so much division, so much contention in its camp when it comes to the question of the vice president. Because some people among the people of former Southern Cameroon, they were kind of quiet when this constitutional coup was being orchestrated because they believed that the vice president was going to be an Anglophone. They even circulated some names, whether it's Philemon Yang, whether it's Ngote, whether it's Paul Atanganji, and all of that. It was just to create the support for that constitutional coup. But now, the proof is in the pudding. They have no intention to give the position of vice president to an Anglophone. And then there are some people who like the idea that we should deal like a monarchy. We should get Frank Biya, and French support here will continue. For example, if you are a Lamido or you are a Sultan, or you are a chief somewhere, you come to Frank Biya, you say, give me this. Your father will not have done this, what you're trying to do to me. They want that kind of narrative. The aristocrats in the country who have established their friendship with Paul Biya, they very much want Frank Biya to be the continuing figure, and they will come to say, your father promised me this. You must honor the memory of your father. They would like that understanding. But my reading is that there are other actors, international actors. Take, for example, the country of Israel. It knows that if you name Frank Biya, the people are going to blow back. And Frank Biya has no administrative ability, no ability in statecraft to contain that kind of blowback. So, from their perspective, they find Ngongo a very experienced person who will be able to mercilessly crack down. People don't like him among the ministers. He doesn't care. Once you have the presidential power, you act as it is. If it becomes clear that he is now the president, he is now the one in power, even former enemies like Nyad Njifendi, who was put in prison by Biya, they had to reconcile with Biya and come back and work with him. The same with Mr. Chiroma. So we have this, we should put it in our mind that the option is go to the last degree with our choice, as done in the election, Mr. Chiroma, whether he's doing anything or not. The approach we have taken in the civil society is that even if Mr. Chiroma has gone to sleep, we will wake him up when we succeed. We say, the job is still yours. Are you going to take it or not? Or we have to get to that point. So that is where there are some differences in the perspective. As you skillful journalists, you can pick up there are different narratives coming from different places. Even the writer of that speech, what was the intention, what was being communicated. Some people say it already achieved what he wanted because we now have this colonel, whether it's captain or what, coming out and talking about the kind of things going on within the government, right? And then you also have some of this. Some people are retired, some people are nominated again. So it might have been bravado to move the people to make some mistakes. And they made some of those mistakes and created an opening for people with knowledge of the inside workings of the system to come up.
All right.
But the position of society is the people of Cameroon are going to create the conditions for everybody internationally to see that this regime is going to fall. And then in Washington, they'll say, can you look for me the telephone number of Mr. Chiroma? That's what we need to do. We need to create the condition, the European Union to say, can you find the telephone number of the president? Who is this man? Who are the people he's working with? What is the civil society? What are they saying? Can we send him a message of encouragement? Let's say we respect the will of the people of Cameroon. Our friendship is with the people of Cameroon and not with the Biya regime. Even Israel, which right now I think is one of the countries closest to the regime and more interested in preserving that, it will have to change its dynamic. You have to calculate, either I have 100%
So talking about
I have amount of some benefit by respecting the president of Cameroon.
So, Prof. Talking about the dynamics on the ground, don't you think that if Issa Chiroma had returned to the ground, the intensity of the activities we have going on the ground and the level of pressure on the regime would have very much intensified? He continued to stay abroad. Do you really think if he goes back, something happens to him? They will kill him? Do you really believe that? Eric, I'll allow you to take that, please.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, let's be real. I can tell you the Chiroma story because I lived it to some extent. And I'm not here about Chiroma. I'm here about Cameroon and change in Cameroon. And he represents the change that we want to see. That's all. So I'm here to speak on behalf of the Cameroonians, and we're in our millions who want change in that country. The Chiroma represents that, whether you like the man or not. And I can tell you, I was in Yola with Chiroma. I was in Abuja with Chiroma. I was in Yola when troops were sent to pick him up. Cameroon was willing to do that. I was there when policemen arrested him and put a gun to his head in Yola, paid for by Ataganji and the rest of them. They know it. If he goes back to Cameroon, he'll be dead before the rest of us know it. Let's not fool ourselves. What I want to say now, Chris, is we've got to work to bring about change in the country. And Ben and his team, Council for Sovereignty of the Cameroonian people, the CSC, is working to bring about that thing. We have to respect it and listen and be part of it. My team, my own group of friends, who constitute Project Cameroon, Project C, we are also approaching this from another angle with the blessings of Mr. Chiroma. And we are confident also that with what's happening on the ground and what we're trying to do from the outside, there will be change in that country, the change we desire, within a matter of weeks. That's my faith as I speak to you. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And each of us has to rise and play their part. It's really, let's not sit back and continue to complain. Those of us, some of us from in the diaspora have decided our own strength is working with the various parties, whether in the United States, France. I mean, I just came back I'm in the US now, but I just came back from trips to the Netherlands, to France, to Belgium, to England, and so on. I just came back from those trips, meeting with people and talking to them. And ever since I'm back in the States, I've been meeting with folks who have access to the Trump administration. That's what we can bring to this, to the complex situation in which we find ourselves right now. That's why it's important that what's happening on the ground continues to happen. What Professor Aki and his CSC team are doing, and supported by the President-elect and others, that should continue to happen as the world is paying attention. But we also are trying to bring the message, take the message to external forces that can act. And it is based on that I believe that this change will come to Cameroon. It will involve, and I say this in spite of myself. I really, I should not be, in effect, is I don't think it's confidential, but we need to be quite circumspect about what we are doing, and that is, we have to engage with a range of actors on the international scene that will help us put the pressure that we need to put on the systems in operation in Cameroon to help address the problem. And I think if we do what we have to do, it may be only a matter of weeks, certainly not months, for us to come to for us to come to a point of resolution of the crisis in Cameroon. That's my thinking. But the bottom line is each of us has to play their parts. Each of us, to get the message across that Cameroon cannot survive in its current state. Impossible. And I hope this message is getting across to those who think they govern the country today, because they don't. But let's get that message across to the Prime Minister, our brother and friend Yongute, to the Secretary General, Mr. Ngongo. He's playing his last, yes, to, I see on your screen, Ngongo and Babuka and the rest of them. No, they're in the last stages of whatever game they think they're playing. They're out of it. And they need to understand and be willing to come back to the table to talk to, to engage with the rest of us so that we can save the country. That's going to happen, in spite whether they want it or not. They're not, Cameroon does not belong to any one of them, and to none of us for that matter. We've got to do what we've got to do, each of us. And it's time that we rise to the occasion. Each of us playing their parts in this in this orchestra.
Eric, what have you heard about Biya's return to the country? I'm sure, I don't know whether you heard my reporting from Panorama Press stating that Biya is returning tomorrow, and they've also.
I don't think he will. I don't think he will, Chris.
You don't think he will? Now, by any chance, do you know who runs Panorama Press? We understand it's a Cameroonian with headquarters in Atlanta, Washington, and Cameroon. Any idea who runs it, Eric?
No, zero idea. I don't have a clue, Chris.
Interesting. So you think he is not showing up? They've scheduled a reception for the Indomitable Lionesses at the presidency for the weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who are they going there to visit, though? Who is receiving them there in Ngah?
Well, the prime minister still he's still the head of government, for all I know.
He doesn't live at the presidency.
Chris, that's beyond my pay grade. I honestly can't provide an answer to it. Ben Aki may know better.
All right, please hold on in there. Let's take this caller here. I guess this is from Yaoundé. Hello. Hello.
Are you still on the program?
I'm still live, sir.
You're still live. Okay. No,
yes.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the phone number is there on your screen. You can call in to contribute to the show. You have a question, you have a contribution. Call in, let's know you are watching. Okay, the phone number again is there on your screen. Before you call, make sure you shut down the volume of your TV set or whatever you are watching from so that there is no delay in your call. So, Prof. Ike, if Biya is not returning tomorrow and the Indomitable Lionesses are being received at the presidency at the weekend, who is receiving them? Please attempt an answer. I know you have insiders.
Well, my first answer to that is that I tend not to follow very closely speculations about the health of Biya, about the potential demise of Biya, or whatever time he is going to return to Cameroon. So I will not be the best person to provide you insight on that. But what I know is this. The stage we have reached in Cameroon is such that there is no duty that is supposed to be the duty of the president that he has not been delegating to somebody else. What makes this particular victory, the reception of this women champion, what makes it exceptionally different that it would have to be Biya being there? Biya can still be in Cameroon and not take part in that. The Minister of Sport is going to represent the president.
Well, if you follow precedents, that has never happened. You always welcome the Indomitable Lions each time they won the trophy, isn't it? So
it has never happened does not mean it will not happen. There are many places, whether it's the United Nations, how many times had he sent a representative to the United Nations? But a couple of years ago, we saw the Minister of Foreign Affairs representing him, right? So as he winds down, there is absolutely nothing that is, even if it is explicitly put in the Constitution still opens up the gate for him to say he can be represented in his duties by such and such ministers. So he's going to use that. I'm not going to use that debt as a speculation aid for that. I have heard some people say it's going to be over the weekend, and others have said it's going to be Thursday. But such speculations are baseless as much as I can see. But again, it plays with our psychology.
Mm.
Is
Absolutely.
whether or not Biya is in Cameroon, he is not supposed to be at the presidency. And in fact, he should have left after losing the election. In which case, I would even be happy to have him transferred to Switzerland. That would be nobody's problem. They are switching it. I tend to, Mr. Arnold, this is the way I approach it. I usually ascribe more help to Paul Biya than the speculations, so that I don't fall into the trap that if they just see Paul Biya, whether he's on a wheelchair or whether he's just able to raise his hand, Cameroonians will say that's victory. Look, he is alive. Because many people had preceded with assuming that he is no longer with us. So just even having him open his eyes and say something. There was a Cameroonian professor in France, Franklin Nyamsi. A couple of years ago, he humiliated himself by going even to the extent of saying that the Paul Biya we see is not the real Paul Biya because the real Paul Biya died. Right? So I think that weakens our power to organize as people to say it would even be a shame if the only way Paul Biya leaves the president is by the natural demise or incapacitation, he should be chased out by the people. Now, I speak a little bit crude here, but I speak as an activist to say our desire is to create the conditions. Just like in Algeria, Bouteflika was forced to go, I would like to create the conditions. Mr. Biya can right now in Switzerland make a speech and say, I apologize, I stole the election, I'm not coming back. That's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. But technically, that's what he could say. I said, Switzerland is so good, and I know I even stole your election. I have no more interest in continuing. Go ahead and do whatever you want. Right? So he could do that, or he could return from there and go straight to Vomeka into retirement. That's properly acceptable too. But our goal should be not to focus so much on when Paul Biya is returning. It's not an event for me to spend so much of my energy working about. I want to create the condition. The only thing I would have been interested in knowing when he's coming, if our mobilization had reached the kind of level that we could all rally at the airport he is arriving and create the condition for him not to leave that airport until he has pronounced his resignation or his
Let
abandonment
me
of the presidency.
let me ask Eric. You were one of the editors at CRTV. When Biya travels and is returning, normally CRTV will go out, hey, the president is returning to the country tomorrow or next week, blah, blah, blah. Am I correct?
Yeah, but of course, Chris, that nothing is as it used to be anymore in Cameroon. Everything has changed. I mean, I left CRTV 30 plus years ago, and God alone knows, what it has become ever since. I think it's so important that we live with the day, we live with the experiences of today, and we act, in accordance with what systems today impose on us. This, that country is everything is so flawed, everything is so messed up that we can't be looking for solutions based on yesterday's realities. We've got to look at what's going on in Cameroon right now. Let's look at some of the factors that we should be taking into account. One, the country is broke. The country is in debt over its head. No international institution is willing to give Cameroon the support it needs very badly. We should put that out there. Mr. Biya is sick and unable to continue to govern a nation like Cameroon. That is the truth. How come nobody? I've not heard of any of the media organizations in the country in trying to investigate this. or the international media, and yet we can step in and help them do that. Why aren't we doing it? These are clear elements that need to be taken into account as we try to navigate through this period to determine a future for that country. It can blow up in our faces, and it might, but I hope it doesn't.
Well,
so let me leave on a note of hope, Chris. I want to leave on a note of hope.
All right.
And that note of hope is two things. Will be based on two things. One, persistent, what the CSC. Sorry, I'm an old man now. My white beard, Ben, is not there for nothing. It's the number of suns and moons that I've counted.
Well, we discovered that it's confusing. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the CSC, what they're doing, and a host of others on the ground, is so important. We need to keep the pressure coming from the ground. But
all right.
What I want to say is, not only is that being taken into account, but the fact that Cameroon is ungovernable, because that contributes to that. That contributes to that. And the country is broke. That's second. People, and no investor, none, is going to Cameroon except those who want to exploit the current state of the nation, of that country. They're the only ones going. And they're not going for the benefit of a single Cameroonian who's out of that cabal of leaders. So, but in doing what they're doing on the ground, to keep the fact to keep alive the fact that the country is ungovernable, helps the international effort that is currently being made. And I know about it. There's an international effort currently being made that may just effectively sign current system, and hopefully within weeks. I hope it doesn't stretch into months, but within weeks, there'll be change in Cameroon. And those who are listening to you in that country, now as we speak, but in government at any level, it's important that they recognize what I'm saying and begin to position themselves, because they might be losers in the end. And it's in a matter of weeks, I say again.
Matter of maybe, just maybe a month. I hope the audience is listening, and remember, they will always call you back on it next time you are here, and nothing happens after weeks. So, but as far as Biya's return is concerned, tomorrow is less than 12 hours away. So we will see. But I think I'm beginning to buy your theory that the man is not coming home, because if he were, the presidency will announce it. Maybe CRTV would announce it. None of that has happened. And nobody in the administration, not even Communications Minister Rene Sadi, has come out to say, hey, we are preparing for the president's return, or the president is returning at a weekend or tomorrow. Nothing to that effect, except they just want to surprise everybody. But again, we wait and see. Tomorrow is less than 12 hours away. We will see. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Look forward to having you again, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The pleasure is mine.
All right. Okay. All right. You have a great night out there, please. Ladies and gentlemen, in the absence of any calls, we are going to round it up here at this moment. But before I go, I like to make the appeal that I made yesterday about support for ABS. A handful of people put in their donations yesterday, but I really expected much more than that. And so before I leave, I'd like to appeal to all of you out there who have been watching to please come on board and support the work that we are carrying out here on the ABS television. I'm sure you are well aware that what we do here is powerful, as powerful as an AK-47. When there is war, ladies and gentlemen, when there is war, information is a tool. Information is a tool. But it takes a lot of money to get that tool operational. And for 10 years, I have been here doing exactly that. So my appeal to you is, please, if you appreciate what we do here, bringing you information, education, updates as per what is happening on the ground in Cameroon and in the southern Cameroons, please, I urge you to support ABS with the number you find on your screen. That number is good for Zelle and Cash App. Whatever you can chip in will be highly appreciated. I just cannot go deeper enough in explaining to you how we get these things working here. I said yesterday, we run a physical studio here. We are not doing this or broadcasting from a bedroom or a basement. We have a commercial location from which we broadcast. That is why, we bring you the best of quality of television in terms of graphics and the images and space. We pay for that. We also have to pay heavily to be able to run on satellite to all of Africa. We also have to run internet, and we do not run regular internet here. We don't run 50 megabytes of speed. From the studio here, our internet speed here is 1,000 terabytes. Stable. That means up and down. 1,000 terabytes. You can imagine what that costs. But we're really facing difficulties meeting up with these bills. Please, if you can help us with a one-time donation, it will be much appreciated. The number on your screen is good for the donation. You can use it for Zelle, you can use it for Cash App. And please, I will spend 5 more minutes on this screen, hoping that you can chip in your donation now so that I can acknowledge it before calling it a night. So please, get on your phone, get on your Zelle, get on your Cash App, and do a generous one-time donation for ABS with the number you find on your screen. ABS doesn't run on advertisement money. We don't have any. We don't take any, because this is considered a non-for-profit. We cannot take commercial advertisement here. We have been running from day number one from supporters like you, people who understand exactly what we offer here, people who appreciate exactly what we offer here, people who appreciate the tenacity with which I have been here coming to you on a weekly basis for almost 10 years. Almost 10 years. October will make it 10 years. So please, if you appreciate it, again, do a one-time donation today to ABS using the number you have on your screen for Zelle or Cash App. It will be much appreciated. You cannot imagine how that can help us here in the studio to keep these operations running. So please go ahead and do that even after the show. You can do that even after the show. You can go ahead and make your payment. That will be very much appreciated. And if you want to call, go ahead and call again. I still have 3 minutes to leave. to call it a night. Go ahead and call. You can call that number on your screen. So you go ahead and call if you want to call in. But I will really appreciate if you are calling in to chip in your support for ABS. Keep us here, bringing to you the updates, the education, and the information that we bring to you on a weekly basis. I appreciate you. Thank you very much in advance as you consider that. Again, when the show is over, you can still make that one-time donation. Please, I'm appealing to you to seriously consider that. It takes us about close to 3,500 to run the operations here to get to have ABS running on a monthly basis. Just imagine if we have 35 people and they are giving us $100 each month. We will never come back to you asking for a donation. We don't have that. We have tried that experiment. We didn't get up to that number. And even those that we get, we didn't get the corresponding donations coming on a regular basis. So, if you also want to consider getting on that list of monthly donors to ABS, just send a text on that same number, and I will include you in the forum. We'll call it ABS Sponsors. So if you want to be engaged, please send me a text on the number on your screen, and I will include you in the list. All right, I have 1 minute to go without any call, without anything coming in yet. All right, ladies and gentlemen, in the absence of any calls, anything, I'm going to call it a night here, and I look forward to coming back here on Friday. But please, please, even when the show is over, do not hesitate to dial that number with your Zelle or Cash App to make a donation to ABS. Once more, thank you for tuning in tonight. Again, I will be back here Friday. I should be back here Friday. God bless and good night.